Hello everyone again. This time we are looking at one of Joshua's creations again, and it's his wheel lock. And this time I've converted this to Capfire again, and what we're using here is a torsion based spring in order to drive the wheel. So if we look behind the lock here, we can see that torsion spring sitting behind the modified bridle. And another major modification here is the sear, which now has this spring holding it in place. That's necessary because the torsion spring puts a lot more power on this wheel here, and as a result we need a slightly stronger spring to bring that back into and lock that wheel in. So operation is very much similar to a normal wheel lock. We have a key, and this key engages on the wheel and turns it. So because we're using cap firing, unlike a traditional wheel lock, if we bring the pan back, we can see here the striking face on the wheel. Now normally a wheel wouldn't have a striking face or a pin like this, but of course we're trying to fire caps. Also, we have a half-cock mechanism. That half-cock allows us to safely put a cap onto the pin, like so. Also, it allows us to drive the wheel back without setting off the cap. That means the cap's now securely in place, so it can't. So if we're running around with this in a bandolier or waving it around, the cap's not going to fall off. We know that cap's nicely in place. This pan can slide back over until we're ready to fire. Now in this circumstance, or if we're at half cock, we still need to wind the wheel all the way forward to its firing position. That's half cock, and then all the way driven to the firing place, to the firing position. We can now slide this pan back over. Now, excuse me whilst I just get my ear defenders. And there it goes. Now, you might notice something strange happen here, and that is that the pan appeared to not move. Now that is not the case. If we look at the mechanism as we turn this, you'll see that this is the pan actuating lever here. We'll see as we bring that to full lock, that pan is driven backwards by this lever here, which is attached directly to the spring. So why did the pan stay closed? Well, it didn't. The simple fact is this spring is so powerful that when it fired, it pushed that right back, and then there's so much momentum in this pan that it bounced off this rear stop and closed itself again. So this is a little problem in this version of the design, in that this wheel is so powerful, the spring on this is so powerful, that it actually causes this pan to close again, just out of sheer momentum. The fix for that is really simple. This shape here just needs to be a bit wider at the top so that that lever keeps this closed. So if we just set this off, there's no cap in it, thankfully. There we go. And you can see again, it almost stayed closed. So this needs to drive this close. So this gap here just needs to be filled in on this. So that's one simple change. The other change I'm going to make is to this tool here. So this is the key which drives it. What I want to do is put a little uncapping mechanism on there, a capper. It's actually reasonably easy to get the cap out. You just pull the cap. Oh, wait a second. It's easy to do when the wheel isn't actually up against it. So just bring that to half cock, pop that out, cap's out. That simple. And it's really easy. This is actually much easier to load a cap on and uncap than I thought it would be. So I don't have to make any modifications there. So again, we are loaded. This cap back is in that. So this is not a very well set cap. So we'll see what happens. Cap's still on the pin. So you can see here that cap is not pushed on correctly. So in a lot of my other locks, that wouldn't fire. That's the benefit of having a really, really powerful spring. The only downside of this spring is you can't buy it. And that is a little bit of an issue with this particular design, is that you have to wind that particular spring out of music wire. It's 1.6mm piano wire, turned twice over a mandrel. It's not difficult to do, but it's a pain. It is a pain. You need to wear gloves, because if that spring, that music wire spins out of your hand, and it will, and you're not wearing gloves, it will cut you. Ask me how I know. So, yeah. The problem with this, of course, is that unlike a hammer, that's got a much smaller radius, so a compression spring might not drive it as quickly, so it wouldn't be so reliable. So a torsion spring here really works well. The problem is that buying a two-turn torsion spring like that in 1.6mm music wire, you just don't find it in catalogues. You have to have them specially made, and then that costs a fortune. So I'm not too sure. Tell me what you think. Should I convert this to use compression springs, or do you think it's okay to accept? It's okay for people, to accept that people might have to make their own springs, or buy them off someone, who makes them specially. Yeah, leave me alone. Thank you very much.